What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is going to be your review of Sisters Season 2, Episode 14. So, we pick up where we left off with Preston's brothers threatening Danni, being real racial, whatever. And then they say, and you're not going to get our money either. And she was like, money? And they were like, yeah, you're not going to get our money. And you were a bet. We told him he could play around with the black boo, but he couldn't get serious with none of it. You were a bet because we didn't think he had it in him to go out and get him a black woman. And so of course Danni is like, what? And at first I feel like she was taken off guard, but then she starts to get her little Danni back, and she actually gets in their face a little bit. And as she's getting in their face, Zach rolls up on his little cart that they ride through the airport in. And he jumps in to try to break it up. And she was like, we good. And so then they start, making little comments towards Zach. And so, Zach was like, what? Who you, like, they called him Jamal or whatever. And he was like, who y'all talking to? Like, who you think you talking to? Next thing you know, honey, Danni then rolled up in the car and ran over the man. And so, of course, now they threatening, we're going to sue. And, Zach gets all upset. And Danni was like, calm down. The cameras are watching us. It was an accident. Just follow my lead, And so later on, they're on the, Zach is back on the plane cleaning the plane, and Danni comes through there, and she was like, look, they boarded. I told them that I, was reaching for a bag, and my foot hit the gas instead of the brake. Don't worry about it. Like, it's good. And so then they start talking again, and she tells them, what was going on and who those people were or whatever. And, she actually found his grandfather's stuff where Karen had left it. It was in the lost and found, and she found it, and he was like, I really appreciate it. And she was like, Zach, are you sure you didn't use Karen's credit cards? And Zach was like, no, I didn't. Like, I didn't. She was like, are you sure? He was like, I'm positive. Like, I didn't do it. And she was like, I didn't think you did it, but I just got to ask. And she was like, listen, you got this new car. Like, you've been real secretive. Like, I just had to ask. And he said, well, the car... he finally tells her about the project and that it's a company car and what's going on. And she was like, Zach, that's really cool. She was like, I need you to understand that we want you to win. Like, nobody around here we want you to win. And she was like, so you doing that for Karen? He was like, no, I'm not doing it for Karen. I'm doing it for myself. And she was like, you sure you're not doing it for Karen? He was like, I'm positive I'm not doing it for Karen. And then he starts telling her about this new woman. He still don't say her name, but he starts telling her, how she believes in him and she makes him feel like he can do anything, and how Karen never did that for him. Karen always tore him down. Karen never built him up, that kind of thing. And so she was like, oh, so you're doing it for her? He was like, no, I'm doing this for me. But she's giving me the confidence that I can do it. And so Danni was like, okay, I hear you, like, well, I'm really, really happy for you. Like, I really am happy for you. Glad you got your grandfather's stuff. And Zach was like, yeah, I appreciate you finding it, but it's still F you to Karen because, like, she did this. You know what I mean? Like, it could have real easily have been something totally different, and it could have been gone forever. So, down to the bank, Maurice is being Maurice. The new guy is with Sabrina. Now, mind you, Maurice told him to go ask Sabrina to help him. But now Maurice is like, y'all been in here too long. What are y'all in here doing? Y'all doing too much. And so, Sabrina was like, Maurice, what is your problem? So Maurice tells her that Calvin had come down to the bank and had seen her with the guy. And she was like, oh, really? And he was like, you happy about that? Like, you happy? And she was like, well, no. I mean, it's whatever. So he has the results from the drug test, and come to find out he came up negative, no drugs detected. And he was like, see, you can't just be believing what everybody tells you about him, so now you need to call him. And she was like, no, I'm waiting for him to call me. Girl, why are you waiting for him to call you? Then he was like, see, you playing too many games. He was like, I don't have the energy for this. And she said, I like Calvin, but he's a little too soft for me. Like, I like them a little bit rougher. And he was like, oh, so you like the new guy? Like, basically, that's what you're saying. You like the new guy. She was like, no, I'm not saying that. And she was like, yeah, that's what you're saying. You like the new guy. So he was like, listen, I can't keep up with y'all. Y'all getting on my nerves. She was like, don't say anything to Calvin. He was like, I ain't gonna say nothing to Calvin because y'all doing too much. Now, this is Maurice. He's probably gonna absolutely say something to Calvin, but whatever. what happened next? Down to the law office, we see Fatima confront old boy. And, she was like, did you go say something to Zach? And he was like, what you mean? She was like, did you say something to Zach? And he was like, why you asking me? She was like, because he was acting real funny last night. He was like, oh, so you saw him last night? She said, listen, I don't need to explain to you who I see and when I see them. I see who I want when I want. Did you say something to Zach? And he was like, yeah, I did. And she was like, why would you say something to him? She was like, because he's riffraff. Why are you bothering with him? You could do better. I mean, look at me. And she was like, do you really hear yourself? Like, do you hear yourself right now? He was like, yeah, I hear myself. What you saying? And she was like, stay out of my business. Stay away from Zach. Like you threatened him. He was like, yeah, I think I'm going to talk to the guy that's the head of the program. Yeah, I think I'm going to talk to him anyway because I don't know about him. And she was like, stay out of it. Stay out of my business. Like, even if Zach ain't around, me and you, it ain't going to happen. So stay away from Zach. And this is the thing I'm talking about with Tyler Perry and these characters. So you made this guy a good guy, right? He helped Andy. He did it as a favor to Fatima. All of that good stuff. And now you're turning him into an asshole. And I'm telling you, this situation with the credit cards, that's exactly what I think is getting ready to happen. I think that when they find out who actually charged up Karen's credit card, it's going to be Aaron. I'm telling y'all, that's just in my mind because that's what he does. He creates these characters and you're like, oh, this is a good guy. Oh, he's a good guy. And then flip. So now dude is an asshole, but he helped Andy out. Anyway, so as Fatima's coming out of the office, Andy's like, yo, let me talk to you for a minute. And, she's being all, Andy-like. So Fatima gets in her office and Andy's like, yo, I'm telling you now, like, work, mixing business with pleasure, like mixing work with personal doesn't work. And she was like, oh no, me and him, nah, it ain't nothing going on between me and him. She was like, we went on a date one time and it just didn't work out. He's an asshole. And Andy was like, oh, well, he seemed like a nice guy to me. Yeah, because when he was helping you out, that's the image that all of us got, was that he was a nice guy. And here's the thing, once again, and if I'm digging too deep, tell me in the comments if I'm digging too deep. But remember when the first time we saw Fatima with the guy, did they not say that they knew each other, their mothers were friends and they like old friends? So she didn't mention none of that to Andy. She was just like, oh, we went on a date one time. Like, to me, that's, if Andy's telling you not to mix business with pleasure, that's your boss, that's what I would have led with. Oh, nah, it ain't like that. Our parents are friends. We've known each other for years. It is what it is. But you made it seem like your only connection to him was that y'all went on a date and it didn't work out. Whatever. If I'm digging too deep, y'all let me know. So then Andy apologizes to Fatima. She was like, I was a little short with you earlier. And she was like, no, I get it. You going through a lot. You got a lot on your mind. Like, I understand the stress that you're under. She was like, but don't worry about it. You got this. And, at the end of the day, even if your personal life is some shit, you got this. Like, this job, they tried to take it from you, you got it back. Like, don't sell yourself short. And so she was like, I appreciate it. Cool. So then, as Fatima's leaving, Paris comes in. And he was like, I just want to check on you, see how you doing. And she was like, well, I should be the one checking on you. I'm really sorry about how things went down last night. And he was like, nah, it is what it is. He was like, I'll be leaving here in a little bit. Now, here's another one. If I'm nitpicking, y'all let me know again. He said, I'm here helping my mom. Wasn't she his grandmother last season when all this first started? Wasn't that his grandmother? But whatever. It's not that serious. Once again, I just feel like the writing is playing with my emotions. But anyway, he says, well, I'm leaving here in a few minutes. Would you like to go to dinner? And she was like, well, nah, I'm hanging out with my girls tonight. But, can I call you, for a rain check? And he said, I tell you what, that's fine. But when you call me, please be sober and not angry. Like, I need you to call me with a clear mind. And she was like, well, he was like, you make me feel like a piece of meat. And she was like, well, I mean, you kind of are, but I understand what you're saying. You kind of are, but I understand what you're saying. Girl, if you don't. Anyway. So then we have Fatima calling Zach. So, And she basically is like, listen, come over for dinner. And he was like, nah, I'm working. She was like, I'm not taking no for an answer, to come over for dinner. And she was like, and don't worry about that other situation. It's handled. And she was trying to do her best, y'all know who I'm talking about. Olivia Pope. It's handled. She's doing her best Olivia Pope on us. It's handled. But of course Zach was like, what did you do? Like, I didn't need you to say anything. I wasn't trying to start nothing. Like, I'm just trying to do my job. I don't want to mess. She was like, listen, I told you it's handled. We're good. And he was like, are you sure? She was like, we're good, so come over for dinner. And he was like, nah, I don't think. She was like, I already said I'm not taking no for an answer. And he was like, well, I'm probably gonna be a little late. And she was like, well, don't worry about it. I got it. So, there's that. Now, over to Sabrina's house. They're all coming over for dinner. So, the first person to get there is Danni. And Danni tells Sabrina about what happened at work. She tells her the whole situation. And she's basically like, and I haven't heard from Preston all day. And here's the one thing I will say, I'm very proud of Danni. Because Danni has not wavered. Because even earlier, Zach asked her, well, you sure Preston doesn't know what's going on? Are you sure it wasn't a bet? And she was like, no, that's not who he is. And Danni, she's come a long way. Because Danni would have been the first one to throw him under the bus. But she has been sticking by him saying, nope, this isn't him, this isn't him. And Sabrina was like, are you sure? And she was like, no, I know it's more to it. I know it's something else going on. He told me his family was racist, but he's not. And so I know that he's not returning my phone calls. I know it's more to this. It's something else going on. And so Sabrina was like, okay, all right, are you sure? She was like, I'm positive. So then the next person to come in is Karen. And of course, Karen got an attitude with Danni because she feel like, Danny's not on her side with the whole Zach situation. And so she tells Sabrina about it. And Sabrina says the same thing. Sabrina was like, are you sure? Because, like, that don't sound like Zach. Are you sure that that's what Zach did? And so, and she was like, no, I'm positive. And she was like, are you sure? And so, now Karen's pissed off at both of them because she was like, why y'all can't have my back? Like, I don't understand. And they were like, because you're trying to send him to jail. Like, you trying to put another black man in jail. Like, that's not cool. We don't think he did it. Like, we really don't. This is not his MO. And so Sabrina was like, listen, I have a friend who works at the company. Let me go. I'll go check. I'll see if she can check with some of these charges. And so I thought they was going to get it back. She said that she can get a copy of the receipts so we can check the signature on these receipts, and the surveillance tape from some of the purchases, and we can see who it is. I'm telling y'all, it's gonna be Aaron. I'm telling you, that's how Tyler Perry writes. It's gonna be freaking Aaron. But anyway, so Danni comes through, and of course they asked Danni, have you talked to Gary? And she was like, no, I haven't talked to him, but he has been calling all day. And she said, it's hard. This is a man that I used to talk to all day, every day, and now I'm not talking to him at all. I understand, but it's hard to do. And so they're all sort of just commiserating in, their situations. They're like, we need to talk about something else. But of course, they always end up back on their men's situation. So they end up having dinner that they complain that Sabrina don't use enough seasoning, honey. And the last thing we see is Danni calling Preston again. She's in her car calling Preston again. He didn't answer the phone. And she was like, all right, Preston, like, if this is how you want it to be, then this is how it's going to be. And then she's walking into her apartment, and who was sitting on the floor, beat up in front of her apartment? Preston. So that's how it ends. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments. Peace.